The world had barely begun to breathe a sigh of relief after the ceasefire agreement between Iran and Israel, a deal personally announced by U.S. President Donald Trump, who promised to immediately stabilize the entire Middle East. But the brutal reality on the battlefield shattered that fragile hope. Last night's strike on Syamir Medical Center was a devastating blow, reigniting the flames of hatred that had only just died down. Israeli military units returned to the highest level of combat readiness, while Iran declared it would continue its legitimate acts of self-defense. Once again, the international community finds itself powerless in the face of another vicious cycle of retaliation. Just hours ago, regional intelligence sources accused Israel of secretly launching an airstrike on a key military facility in the heart of Tehran. Iran responded without hesitation, firing its 23rd missile barrage in less than a month, slamming the door on any remaining hope for de-escalation. As night fell, air raid sirens roared across Israel, from Tel Aviv, Haifa, all the way to southern Escalation. Millions of civilians rushed into bomb shelters, clutching their children, trying to reassure one another amid the thunder of explosions shaking the sky. But the sirens were no longer fast enough. Several missiles broke through the Iron Dome defense system, slamming into residential neighborhoods, turning Israel's night into a sea of fire. Black smoke rose into the sky, and ambulance sirens echoed from Gaza to the Lebanese border. The first images from the missile-hit cities said it all. Towering high-rises were reduced to charred steel frames. Shattered glass scattered everywhere. Thick black smoke engulfed entire blocks of once crowded streets. Ambulances wailed nonstop, weaving through piles of collapsed concrete to reach and rescue the victims. Rescue workers labored tirelessly, surrounded by the heart-wrenching cries of people who lost everything in a single night. In the smoke-filled darkness, survivors stood by the roadside, heads in their hands, their hollow eyes watching flames slowly consume the roofs of their homes. Homes they had hoped would finally know peace, just hours after the ceasefire was declared. A Tel Aviv resident choked back tears as they shared. "We had just started to feel safe again, letting the kids go to the park, shopping like normal people. And now we're huddling together in bomb shelters again. No one knows if we'll still be alive when the sun rises." Behind them, smoke still curled up from the destroyed buildings. Ambulance sirens and emergency loudspeakers echoed relentlessly through the sleepless night in Tel Aviv. The Iron Dome, Israel's pride, long hailed as an impenetrable steel shield, was immediately fully activated. Interceptor launchers roared to life, shooting down dozens of incoming missiles before they could hit the ground. However, security experts noted, the sheer volume of ballistic missiles, their unpredictable flight paths, and the simultaneous multi-directional assault overwhelmed the Iron Dome's capacity to respond in real time. As a result, several warheads slipped through the air defense grid, crashing into residential neighborhoods, triggering deadly explosions in the heart of the city, despite one of the world's most advanced defense systems. Israeli military sources confirmed at least 3 people were killed just moments before the ceasefire was set to take effect. Many others were critically injured, and the death toll is expected to rise as rescue efforts continue. So far, Tehran has not released any official statement explaining why it launched the sudden attack, despite having agreed to the ceasefire. But many experts believe Israel is accused of secretly launching airstrikes on Iranian military sites in Syria and even in Tehran, just hours before the ceasefire agreement was to be signed. Iran saw this as a blatant betrayal and had already prepared for a scenario of war breaking out during peace talks. The Israeli government convened an emergency overnight security cabinet meeting, ordering the entire military to enter the highest level of wartime readiness. U.S. President Donald Trump, who had just declared himself a mediator, now faces heavy criticism as the ceasefire proves as fragile as a soap bubble. A White House official admitted, "We're calling for restraint, but the missiles are flying faster than any UN resolution can catch up." The United Nations and the European Union issued a joint statement, condemning the ceasefire violations and urging an immediate return to negotiations. But no one is sure if those words mean anything, as air raid sirens continue to wail hour after hour. Thousands of Israeli families were jolted awake in the dead of night, grabbing blankets, clutching their children, and rushing into bomb shelters, as air raid sirens blared nonstop. Temporary hospitals quickly became overwhelmed. Emergency rooms were packed, and doctors and nurses were exhausted after working nonstop for hours. Medical supplies in the bombed areas were critically low, while firefighters and paramedics continued racing against time to save lives amid the smoke and rubble. Regional security analysts have issued a stark warning. If Israel chooses to launch a full-scale retaliation, a broader war sweeping across the entire Middle East may be all but unavoidable. Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, already fragile and unstable, are likely to be dragged into the escalating conflict due to the influence of Iran-backed armed groups operating within their borders. At the same time, U.S. military bases in Qatar, the UAE, Iraq, and Kuwait have also been identified as potential targets for Iranian missiles and those of its regional allies. Meanwhile, vital shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea are facing serious disruption. Oil tankers and container ships are being forced to reroute, causing a sudden spike in global oil prices and transportation costs within just hours. We'll be following every minute, every second. The latest updates will be brought to you continuously. Don't miss the next videos. Stay tuned.